Cool.
Once again, the brothers are back.
Hello, hello.
It's the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. I'm your host, JT Hale from the ATL. And there's my co-host from the 313, the D, Uncle Lou, the mayor of Detroit, Lou Sire Boyd.
What up, though? What
What
up,
up, though?
though?
I throw Shawty on that. And we are delighted to have all the way from Denver, Colorado, Brother Willis Walker.
Hello.
Welcome to the Healthy Brotherhood Experience, Willis.
Pleased to see you, brothers.
Pleased to have you on here, man. I'm very excited.
It's nice to see
Get you
people
on.
outside of social media in
It
real life.
is. It is very
I
much
don't
so.
think I've met Lloyd before. Not Lucire. I don't think I've met Lucire before.
You would remember if you
Yeah.
did, if you had, trust me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely
It,
remember. He is
yeah, but
unforgettable.
I'm very fond of the Denver chapter. The
Mhm.
Okay.
Denver chapter up there is an awesome chapter. You have an awesome Captain Raheem. Um, I met you guys, your chapter back about how long ago? That was about 3 or 4 years ago. We were
Okay.
working out there running through the Rocky Mountains
Yep.
About four
over.
years, I think.
Was that 4 years? Time go by so
It
fast,
go,
JT.
yes.
Man, but it was a blessing hanging out with you guys, and like you said earlier when we was talking, enjoying the sun out there and getting that height. Oh my goodness, we that elevation there is no joke for a person from the
Absolutely.
East Coast.
Elevation here is crazy, and it makes it so that when you leave and go run other places, you just feel stronger.
Hmm.
Ooh,
I mean,
Okay.
you just feel stronger, like you crush it.
Amazing.
absolutely.
I went and ran in Malibu last week with some friends at a birthday party, and one of them's a really big time runner. Now, I can't run with him per se, but I was able to keep up on a 5 mile pace around 8:20, 8:30, and we did it. We moved.
Man.
Wow.
Indeed.
So so check this out. For the
Okay.
listeners who are new to Black Men Run, how do you
Okay.
describe the Denver chapter's mission and vibe in a sentence or two?
Man, they call themselves, I guess we call ourselves the Billy Goats. Um, it's an unusual name for me to sort of associate with black men in general. But the vibe is most of the guys are pretty active runners and they push. Um, Whereas I felt like in some clubs, there's a little bit more social vibe, people are more chill. Like we have to remind brothers to slow down. Like, slow down. We don't want to leave people. Um, it becomes like a constant conversation. Like, hey, are we running at a pace that's reasonable? Especially when guys move in from other cities
Hmm.
and they're not used to running at altitude. But there's a family of um, vibe about it. The coach Raheem or the captain Raheem, he's pulling in people from different run clubs, different run communities. There are a couple women that show up and run with us sometimes. One woman in particular runs with us probably every time we run. She likes the safety aspect of running with Black Men Run and not having to worry about anybody hassling her or bothering her. And she's strong, so she probably outruns a lot of women that she runs with.
Yeah,
I guess
awesome,
that wasn't
awesome.
really one sentence.
Hey, that's
Ah,
cool,
that's
man.
that's cool. That's cool. We needed that. What caused you to leadership, your path to vice captain over there,
You know,
Denver?
I was in Seattle and I was with Dion and some other guys out there. And I think at that point, when I was getting ready to move, they were thinking about making me a leader there primarily because I enjoy the social media stuff. I enjoy trying to find ways to weave our story into a news story. I've been able to secure a few um, newspaper articles. So I think that it was just like the natural decision to say, hey, we should pull this guy into leadership. I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't pushing for that. I just enjoy the mission. I love what you do. And I thought, yeah, if you ask me to help, I'll do it. But I moved because of taking care of some sick family. My mom and dad are not doing very well. They're just up in age, and came to Denver, get a little closer to them, and then began again with Denver Black Men Run. And they asked me to be a leader again. Didn't ask. They just said, "Hey, man, you should help us out."
Man,
So
that's a
you're actually
blessing.
part of Seattle. Uh,
I started in Seattle.
Started in Seattle,
Okay.
BMR.
Yep,
Okay.
that's where I met Black Men Run.
Wow. What was it like with your first interaction with Black Men Run?
Oh man, I just had a good time. Guys ran on Sunday. Um, what's beautiful about where the men run in Seattle is, we primarily run along a coastline. There's always, for some reason, the atmospheric pressure is such that even if it's cloudy in Seattle proper, once we get right out on the edge of Seward Park, is where they run. It's like the clouds open up, and generally you run and there's sun, even if there's a little rain. And the guys are always so welcoming. Every single one of them just pull me in, and I'm a bit of a clown, bit of a cut up, and they love the jokes. I grew up in a family with a bunch of guys, and we talk trash constantly. And these dudes, they welcome me with open arms. So we had a good time.
That's awesome, man. You've been vice captain how long now?
I've been vice captain maybe 6 months here in Denver.
Okay. Fairly new.
Fairly new.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And I know Denver, Lucari, you know this because you were there with them. They have a very distinct um, energy and spirit. I know this from my interactions with Raheem. I look at Raheem. Raheem is like a warrior.
Yeah. Raheem
CMO is
pushes
like
it.
a beast.
Raheem
So
pushes.
y'all definitely got a vibe out there, man.
Man, that dude can run. It's a lot to try to keep up with Raheem.
Hmm.
Um, but he pulls back. He pulls back often so that guys don't have to run so hard. He'll run in the back, and he doesn't always exploit the tribe. But man, he can run. I've tried to keep up with him on trail runs. Can't do it.
Warrior.
Just can't do it. Guy can move.
That's a warrior, man. Is there any one moment that kind of defines or captures like the spirit of the Denver chapter? Anything that kind of sticks out is like, this is Denver.
I can say the first time I ran, they took me out to something called the Arsenal. I just moved here. I apparently didn't ask enough questions because it was a 7 mile run in the snow, and it was outrageous. And I
Wow.
thought to myself, man, are they hazing me? Like, what is going on? Um, but everybody was up for it, and I made it through. But I thought to myself, oh man, this is not a beginner run club. Like, we gotta make space for beginners on this run because this was hard work. I mean, I didn't bring water, so I was, sipping snow in under the trees and trying to rehydrate. It was a rough day, um, but I learned a lot. Those guys are active; they stay active,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a push, but it was a beautiful day.
So,
Man, that's epic, man.
Oh, it was epic.
sounds like it, man. Wow. And
Well,
I
we
got to
don't
get
run
out there.
guys that hard. It's just on some days we do longer runs, and if
Yeah.
we try to make sure people know that it's a longer run, and if there are some guys that are new, somebody will fall back. I didn't fall back because I was strong enough. I just didn't expect it to be that kind of work. But we try
Mhm.
not to do that to run guys off.
Right. Right. You do want new faces and you do
Yep.
want them to return. You don't want them feeling like, yeah, I ain't don't even return them phone calls from these guys. So
Oh, it's real.
very real.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
we talk about it a lot as a community. Like, how do we make sure that we have a true couch to 5K plan that allows people to
mhm.
not feel intimidated when you're coming out and you're running with guys like Raheem and Jeff, and then we got some other guys that are really fast. You know, you could feel intimidated, and men specifically, we like to be successful. So if we come
Mhm.
out and we see guys that can just outrun us, it can bruise our little egos, and
Yes, sir.
we'll stay home.
Yes, just we have to kind of remember the purpose of a group run
Yes.
is for the group. It's not about being the fastest and making it back first. It's about, being out there together, getting new people acclimated,
Yep,
that show up because again, we do want them to come back. So sometimes I think that gets lost
it
in
does.
some of our group runs. You know, it's hard to get faster people to slow down. It's almost like more work for them,
Hmm.
just as hard as it for a slower person to try and keep up
Yep.
sometimes. But we have like ATL, we have runners at every pace, just like in the other chapter. And so we start out together, but kind of spreads out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How,
And
how do you ensure that the new runners feel safe and welcome on their
we
first
just
run then?
continue to talk about it every time we meet and we see new guys. We try to gauge as leaders, where are you on, couch to 5K? Is this your first
Mhm.
run? Is your second run? And we'll have a couple guys just hang back, and it's a constant engagement. There are a couple of guys on the tribe that just enjoy a slower pace in general, so they'll often hang back and bring in the new guys. But occasionally you get a young runner that's new, and they just take off, and they're like gone. You're like, hey man, this is a community run, brother. You know, so
They think it's a race, huh?
it goes both ways. Yeah,
Mhm.
they'll take off on you. Some young 20s been running consistently for the last couple of years. They'll just blast off. We have to pull them back, say, nah, man, this is more about the social aspect, more about the community. And that's what really drew me to the experience in general is the community.
That's the influence
Hmm.
and the impact when you come out there and
Yep.
you realize, okay, yeah, they're out here running, but this is more than running,
Oh, for sure.
a lot more than running. Have you seen any like really pivotal, I guess, health improvements among guys that come out? Somebody dealing with, the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the extra weight, and they get out there and next thing you know, they've made this transformation.
I mean, I've seen several guys that were in the middle of that journey. I can think of a couple of brothers in Seattle who had some health issues, got off the couch and just started running.
Mhm.
Not to share their story, I won't give their names, but I can just think of a couple of guys that were sort of middle of that journey. They had been running for a while and they had a health challenge or they had a family member with a health challenge, and they were adamant about changing the trajectory of their life. And they tend to be the more spiritual leaders that are just like, come on guys, let's get it, let's get some more guys out here. And this to me less to them about fast or
Mhm.
being the most competitive. um, for them it seems that just being there consistently, day after day after day. I can think of one gentleman here in Denver that I think is now over 1,000 days into a steady everyday mile or two. It's pretty incredible.
We call that a run streak.
Man, heck of a streak.
Yes, it is.
3.5 years.
Yeah, just to
Yeah,
be
we
able to get up
Yeah.
daily, every day, regardless of how you feel.
That level of commitment is quite a
That
bit.
yeah.
shout
Yeah,
out
we
to
got
my
some
former vice captain of Atlanta, Georgia, uh, brother Eric Duncan. He's also a run streaker. He's on day 3,000
That's wild.
plus. I can't keep up.
That's a
Uh,
strong number.
yeah, he's ooh, back when I was captain, before I was captain.
Man,
He's
it's a strong number.
so it's a serious thing, man. So when they get started with that, I don't know what keeps them going. There's something inside, man, that just makes them every
yeah.
day.
We have two of them in Detroit that does it. That's up into the thousands also.
Yeah. I think at some point it's just you've done it so many days in a row that you don't feel the same unless you're doing it.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
just it's almost like brushing your teeth. You can't walk out to head to work, head to a business
Hmm.
meeting, and mouth tastes all funky. So it's the same thing. You got to shake that run out, and it makes you settle into your day, and it just becomes, I think, a part of your the natural ecosystem of how you live your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see the physical transformation too.
Yeah.
When I think back and I go back visually and I'm just like, and I look at some of the old pictures, that's amazing, man. That transformation. So that's good to appreciate the background. And,
Yeah.
speaking of Denver, we know we have they're calling it the pre-national in Denver, the Colfax
Yep.
Marathon meetup. Any updates on that
Well, we've
right now?
got a nice committee together. We met not last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. We had a formal face to face at REI. I
Hmm.
feel like the pieces are coming together for me. This is the first time I've ever tried to organize anything like this. And we're just kind of following some road maps that the other clubs have followed. We're looking at uh, past events similar. We're talking to vendors. There's several guys that are mapping out each day and what we can do to connect with guys in a social environment, shakeout runs. So we're coming along.
Stay tuned, as I
Yeah.
always say.
And I think Denver just makes it a great place because most likely it will be sunny. It may be a little crisp, but it will be sunny. And if you're a beer drinker, there's lots of great places to drink beer after a long run. So
Mm,
Denver's got a lot of distilleries, so it could be a fun place for the beer drinking crowd.
mm. Lucire, are you going out there for Colfax?
My focus this year is on Marquette 50K and Charlotte. Those are the main ones I'm
Mm,
focusing on doing this year.
cool.
Other ones, if I make them, I make them, but I got
Yeah,
to focus on some other situations going on. But I want to make sure I make that national meetup,
I'll definitely
and
be
I would,
there.
or,
Got to
and they have to
prioritize.
have,
Hmm.
what was that?
You got to prioritize. Can't do it all.
Yeah, yeah. If
Speaking of
if
doing it
money
all,
if money and family was no option, I'd be at every race in the country.
I know that's right.
getting it in.
I'm
So,
gonna
Brother
push my
Willis,
light back just it's not
uh-oh,
all in my face.
good. So now, in addition to being a runner, being vice captain, um, you are also into you're what I call a yogi. Um, the term I've heard before. Tell us about your background in yoga, man. How did you get into yoga?
So I'll try to really condense the story. As a young father, I've always been active. I've always, I'll take it back. So when really got into yoga, I was a young dad who needed a place to just kind of get away from the kids sometimes. Your house is active. I had two boys. It was either their homework. It was a lot of, at the time, I was doing a business at the airport that consumed a lot of my time. My wife was in school getting a PhD. And I just stumbled into a yoga class sort of accidentally in between cycle classes. Love to cycle, love the high energy of those classes. And one day I just noticed my hips didn't feel so great. They just felt really tender all the time. And I began to worry, am I doing too much? 3 or 4 classes a week, is this too much? Because I was teaching classes as well. And I stumbled into a yoga class just as a way to cross train. I really didn't know much about it. I just knew that it was something different than what I was doing on that bike, and it felt good. So I did that long enough to fall in love with it. I full transparency. It was also a nice place to go because there are always a lot of beautiful women in yoga classes. So I thought, man, I don't know why more guys don't take this. Um, so after about 4 or 5 years of just trying to rehab my hips and just make sure they were strong to keep doing the cycle at the pace I was doing it, something happened. I just got hit with the bug. I was like, man, this has become a real spiritual part of my life. Like that silent time that I
Mhm.
get when I'm on a mat, there's nothing else in my life that is quite like that. My dad being a pastor, I assume maybe that's what he felt, when he, was preaching or something, or maybe witnessing to people. I don't know. but it became a time for me where things got quiet and I could just relax.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Now I have signed up for, but I have not. I keep missing the class for some reason on Sundays. Broganda.
Yeah. So it's just a mix of bros, Wakanda, and yoga. So I'll tell you the backstory. 2019, we lost a Morehouse brother to suicide. And we had a clique of guys that always talked and we thought we were close. And we were kind of struck by the fact that we thought we knew this guy. We thought, man, if something's going on, like, why didn't he tell us? And I think it really shook us up. So we began early 2019 during COVID, just meeting on Zoom, checking in with guys every week. That's really where it started. It was a text message thread, and it was just some guys logging into Zoom, having a few cocktails. After several weeks of that, and we realized we were not coming out of the house soon, we decided maybe we would make this a little more holistic. One of the guys was like, well, Will, you're always doing yoga and stuff. Why don't we do some of that? We started stretching. After a few months of stretching, one of the brothers who's a theologian, an Atlanta guy, I can quote his name because he's my homie, John Majors. He's a developer slash real estate guy, but he's also a kind of a secret pastor to our group. We called him the Brogalogian. And he would come on Sundays and give us just like a little 10-minute message. So now we're stretching and we have a message. And then I thought, man, let's round this out and let's have a little meditation. Let's add a meditation to this piece. So he would do 10-minute message. And then I pulled in a young woman from Las Vegas named Tracy Cheatham. She's also one of my wife's sorors. She would do a voiceover meditation, and then we do some yoga. And for some reason, we haven't stopped since. We just get up Sunday or Saturday, and we do it. And it's just a space for men to connect, not unlike the run community where you get out with some guys and just kind of shake off some stress. Similar vibe, similar kind of guys show up for this type of thing. All the guys don't even stretch. Some guys just come and talk. I have one guy that logs in every week just to say hello and shoot the shit. And then when we start the yoga, he leaves. I mean, it's just a safe place.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
I've done yoga as well. So has Lucier. And for those who are not familiar with Broganda, where can they kind of tune into it and check it out?
So any brothers in Black Men Run that want to check out a class, I can send them a link. They can DM me directly or hit me up on Instagram, and I'll shoot them a link or I'll share it with you. I'll put it in the chat before we leave here.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, we do just a quiet, closed class. And I like to say it's non-traditional yoga. We are brothers doing yoga. So we talk about what we want to talk about. We listen to the type of music that we want to listen to. And sometimes our wives or partners will jump in, and just hang out with us. But it's not your Orange County soccer mom yoga class. Trust me on that.
Lucier and I were talking about that before we started recording about different yoga, different types of yoga classes that are offered, especially here in the ATL.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from the trap yoga to the red hot yoga and a few
y'all
other
wild
things.
Y'all wild in Atlanta. I've seen the trap yoga. That's beyond anything that I'm prepared to experience.
Man, we touched on that too.
But I say this, I don't dislike it. I'm not so old and crotchety that I can't appreciate that social scene as well. There's a space for it. That's just not the yoga that I would take, but there's a space for that.
Yeah. And we know it's, yoga stretching and everything that goes on with it. How does it benefit runners and specifically Black men?
Oh my gosh. I don't think you have enough time on this podcast for this conversation.
Probably not.
But it's just, there is an aspect to mobility that I don't believe one specific activity can touch on
Mhm.
quite like yoga, because you're doing lateral movements, you're doing strength work, you're strengthening fine muscles, and all of these muscles, you're working on your balance. All of these muscles are directly related to longevity and your ability to keep pushing in almost any of your fitness routines.
Mhm.
I don't know a single great athlete that doesn't have a solid cross training routine. And when I say great, I'm not saying that you have to be an Olympic athlete or a highly competitive athlete. I'm just simply saying great in the sense that you're not hurt all the time and that you can keep doing what you love day after day after day. I don't know a single person that does that and doesn't have some type of cross training routine that involves strength and stretching and flexibility. Now, when you get into the aspects of de-stressing, to me, that's where yoga really changes the game. As a type A, full contact sport kind of dude, I never thought yoga would be something that I would fall in love with. It was just something I thought I had to do. But those moments where you're having a quiet little bit of meditation becomes super relaxing. And I think ultimately that's what really hooked me. So, for
Mhm.
what it's worth, I think it's probably more valuable, the de-stressing aspect, than the actual, because
Mhm.
one day I won't be able to move like I move. One day I won't be able to run like this. But I do believe I will need those de-stressing mental practices as I get older.
Yeah, you're going to need it to get older as well,
Yeah,
you know.
you know.
But it's just one of those things, and we kind of touched on sort of like, I guess what people think yoga is and who yoga looks like. How can brothers get their yoga experience started? How can they,
I mean, you have to be comfortable failing a little bit to start
Mhm.
yoga. If you're a past athlete and you're used to winning medals and us, yoga gives you none of that. You're not going to be celebrated when you cross the line and the tape hits your
Mhm.
chest. The celebration is that for a very few minutes, you can kind of rest. So I would say start in a familiar environment. That's why I created the space for guys just log in, turn the camera off, do yoga in the privacy of your home. You don't have to show people that your hamstrings are tight. You don't have to show people that you can barely touch your toes until you get comfortable. And then get over this idea that you have to win. I think that's the other benefit to yoga for me is it's just a reminder that I'm getting older. I can't win every sport, and to be comfortable with that. Just be comfortable in your body and be grateful that it still works a little bit.
Amen.
For me, that's it. Just learning to appreciate that. And so if you start small and you accept the fact that you can't win it, you accept the fact that really it's just about you learning to be quiet and sit alone for a couple of minutes, then I think you can appreciate what it is. If you go into it with, I want to out yoga this white woman over here that's been practicing for 10 years, you will leave that class very angry. You'll feel like this is not for me, or it doesn't work. I've heard this over the years. It doesn't work for my body. Yoga is not good for my body. That's kind of the work. It's kind of like the reason it doesn't work is because you're stiff and you're tight, and
Mhm.
you probably do a lot of static movements.
Mhm.
And this is something you've never engaged in. And because you aren't immediately successful, you want to abandon it. And I think that's kind of the metaphor for almost everything in life. When
Yes.
you're uncomfortable, are you going to abandon it, or are you going to dig in a little bit and sit with it?
Mhm. And it's not a
Yes.
competition.
If you take it as a competition, you will lose every time. I'll tell
Yeah.
you a funny story. I was in LA probably about 10 years ago, and I was pretty active yogi. And I went to a studio in West Hollywood with some friends, and there was an elderly Asian woman who set up her mat next to me, just rolled her mat out real gently, sat down, and patiently waited. I remember thinking, oh, yeah, this is a bunch of old people. I'm about to wear this lady out, as if yoga is about me competing with this woman.
Mm-mm.
She had to be every bit of 70. And I'm still in my head thinking, oh, I know I'm going to beat her today. I won't go into detail, but I will tell you emphatically, if it was a competition, and it was not, she whooped my ass. I've never seen anyone at her age that was quite that strong, quite that flexible. When she sat in a learning position and pushed herself into the air on her palms, that's when I knew I am going to keep doing this for the rest of my life. Because I
Mm,
thought to myself, if she's that strong at 70, what does that mean for her overall enjoyment of her day?
hmm.
Just just walking around the planet, you
Yeah.
know, how you feel good in your body. I assume she probably feels pretty good in her body to be that strong at that age. And I've never forgotten that. Oh, and here's the funny part. So at the end of the class, I said to her, hey, ma'am, I'm just curious, how long have you been practicing? And she looked at me and said, I don't know because every day is a new day. She said, you could probably relax a little bit more if you stayed on your mat. And I was like, wow. She knew the whole time that I was trying to compete with her. And
Whoa.
yeah. And
Stay. Oh, yeah. That was her version of stay in your lane.
oh, for sure. But isn't
Wow.
life like that? Stay
Yep.
in your lane.
Yeah.
Do what
Yeah.
you do. Stop
Hmm.
worrying about everything in your peripheral. You know,
Not
I
a
never forgot that.
Man,
That is interesting. Yeah, if you stay on your mat, I caught that.
Oh yeah, stay on your mat. I've never forgotten that. I'll say
Wow.
another significant moment that caught my attention years ago was there's a brother in Vegas, Daryl. Daryl was this hulking 6'4", ripped up football linebacker built guy. And I went to his house one night when his kids were doing homework. My wife and I were together and they were cooking dinner. And in Vegas, there's always a lot of stone, like a stone floor somewhere. And I saw this big old black brother sit his behind down in the learning position to do homework with his kids for about an hour. I had never seen a grown man sit like that, period. And he never looked stiff, never got hurt. And I said, man, what is the deal? Like, you're like 240 and you're just sitting there chilling. He's like, I do a lot of yoga, Will. I do a lot of yoga. After that, I was like, yeah, nah, this is it.
That's
And he
it.
told me, he said, I want to be able to play with my kids for as long as possible. I was like, okay, I'm in.
How do you think we can get more black men, um, motivate more brothers to try yoga?
That's a really good question, sir. Um, I don't know. I attempt to try to create classes that are brother friendly, but I think the way we're socialized in this country, we really do believe it's for white people
Hmm.
or white women.
Hmm.
Even if you look at how it entered the US from the east, it began as so the whole system of movements was designed just so you could relax for a couple of minutes. The goal was to get to the place where you could sit still and your mind wasn't just clicking, 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 thinking about work. That's the whole purpose. When it got to the US, in order to turn it into something they could monetize, it became this whole fitness thing. And you got to work up some muscles and you got to look lean and you got to look this way. I think if brothers could get away from the mentality that it's some type of pursuit of a look and just get down and do it. You know, you don't
Hmm.
have to have certain kind of pants, just in your boxer shorts, whatever. You in your gym shorts. But I also think more guys need to see guys doing it.
Hmm.
And it gotta be all body types. It can't be
Hmm.
just some brothers who are fit, because then you assume that it's only for fit guys. There's just so many pieces. I've been trying for 5 years to figure out what is the unlock to get guys more comfortable with the space. It's almost like, my wife invites me to a Pilates class. I'm not going because I've been in there. It's a bunch of women. It's hard, and I'm the only one in there. So I think if we can create more spaces that are just for us, and that's what I tend to do with this space. Just keep
Hmm.
making it available for guys who just want to stretch and not be in some public space competing with a bunch of 20, 30 something young women.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm seeing more brothers get into yoga, and I'm running across more Black yoga instructors,
Hmm.
specifically Black men yoga instructors. And I think the more we expose them to the masses, um, the more brothers may be inclined to, well, let me check this out. This brother's leading this class. Let me see what he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, you
I
know,
just picked up a new member the other day that joined our community. And it was just like that. It's like he saw some people he knew. He was like, all right, I'll give it a try.
mhm,
Um, I think there's one other component that I sometimes wrestle with coming out of my father being a pastor, coming out of the Baptist church. I still believe there's a lot of confusion around yoga, meditation, that type of work, and
mhm,
if it's a conflict with your religious values or
mhm,
your background in the church. Um,
Absolutely,
mhm,
absolutely, right there. You
yeah.
just hit it on the nail on the head for me saying that, because
Hmm.
my father also was a Baptist preacher. I was raised also in
Oh
the
yeah.
as a Christian in the Baptist Christian. And if you talked about yoga, it was interesting because his brother was deep into yoga,
Hmm.
and they were basically calling it a cult, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like,
I
wow, I
don't
can't
quite
believe
understand
it.
it.
Yeah.
I wish I could understand that better. I think I remember one time I tried to explain to my dad that if prayer is talking to God, then being silent and having meditation is maybe the time you're listening. And I think he kind of connected to that. But I remember one time I was trying to convince him to at least try it. And I don't know, this was years ago. I was young and stupid. And I said, well, let's just try it. Sit quietly for a minute. I would say maybe 15 seconds passed and he just started praying, just started praying, and that's what he's familiar with. I get it. But I know for a fact there's something about this idea that I even think meditation sometimes is a thing that people feel is a conflict
mhm.
with their faith. Like
Yes.
sitting alone for a few minutes quiet or listening to someone talk me down into a more relaxed state has nothing to do with religion. But for some people, those things are tied together somehow. And I
Mhm.
don't know how you uncouple them.
What I've told people who have given me that same argument is to, when it's time to meditate, just pray,
Just saying, yeah. I
give
mean, and there's
thanks.
nothing wrong with that.
That's
Nothing wrong
between
with that.
But
you and the Almighty.
Yeah. I think one of the
even in the
challenges with even conceptualizing meditation is I think people think that somehow you're trying to create some power
Hmm.
that is maybe in conflict with God's power.
And
And
that's not what it is.
it's
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. It's how can you slow down all of those active thoughts you have all day long? The one way I would describe it to people is every muscle in your body needs a moment to relax. And I believe your brain does too. Just a few minutes where it's not trying to do a million things. And when you find that moment, 30 seconds, 2 seconds, 10 minutes, you notice it, where you're not having that conversation in your head, or you're not working through an email that you got to send, or you're not talking to yourself about a conversation you got to have with your kids. It's the brain is constantly active. So when does it rest? So
Mhm.
sorry to go down that rabbit hole with y'all brothers, but
No, that's
oh
that
no.
you hit on a very important piece of that probably prevents a lot of people from taking a better a look at it and giving it a try. That's a roadblock for a lot of folks. So,
I think it's similar also to the way we look at mental health and therapists. I believe in some pockets of the Black community, we believe the only answer is faith in God.
mhm,
And anything other than that is some sort of compromise, conflict, or you're unaligned with the way you grew up or your family believes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really complicated thing.
Yep.
That may be the bigger hurdle than the fitness aspect of not being able to do the postures and being frustrated that your
It
body doesn't
is.
do
It is. I believe it is.
it. Yeah.
Most definitely. Most
But
definitely.
back to running, I believe that a group of guys that run all the time must have a lateral movement practice. So that's why I've tried to introduce it to as many black men runners as possible. So, and I've collected a few along the way, some from Seattle, some from Denver. One brother from Atlanta logs in because I just believe you got to do it. You gotta move laterally. You gotta stretch. There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the day where you step off the curb and you twist your ankle in a way. And if you haven't been strengthening those muscles, every time I'm on the mat, I do ankle strengthening work every single time because I know there will be the day where I'm gonna step on that root, roll my ankle, and I want to be ready.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Man, you hitting some nuggets. These are gold nuggets,
Yeah.
Brother Willis, you talking about, man. This is a very awesome episode. I'm excited about this. This
I
you
love it,
hitting
man.
because these guys don't understand that this mobility and what you just said with the ankles. I'm an avid trail runner myself,
You know
but
it.
we need to strengthen areas that haven't been strengthened.
It's always the little thing, going and picking up some kid at the birthday party, some little weird movement. It's never the stuff you're doing. It's some little awkward thing
Mm-hmm.
you did, and you're like, damn, now I got to go see a chiropractor. You know. But I enjoy this conversation because it's also bigger for me than just the fitness and just the meditation. There is a community need right now.
Mm-hmm.
Black men, black women, people of color, everyone's scrambling right now to find some place where they feel like a real person, where they feel whole. And that could be your church, that could be your friend set.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Wherever it is, I really believe we must, if we don't want to lose our minds, we got to dig into it. My
Yeah.
Thursday runs here, we call them therapeutic Thursdays. I need that run. It's not a uh, something that just happens occasionally. It becomes a vital part of my week. My Sunday mornings with the fellas doing yoga. My wife says if I don't do it, she notices I'm in a different mood the rest of the day. So
Mm.
I've overslept sometimes, and she'll wake me up and be like, "Man, what's going on? You're not doing the yoga?" I'm like, "Oh, I decided to postpone it next week." She'll be like, "Hmm." And I asked her the other
Mm.
day, I was like, "What's the deal?" She was like, "Because you're funky the rest of the day." I don't think it's the yoga. It is the community. It is being around people that have a similar thought process as you. Um, I hesitate to say look like you because I don't think that's all the value, but
Mm-hmm.
you have a common bond with a life experience. You have a shared life experience, and I think you got to tap into that, especially during times like right now. Like if you don't tap into that, man, you could feel very alone, very isolated.
Right.
Um, and man, that's what kills us. That's what kills us. That's where the hypertension comes in, the stress, the overeating, the eating trash, the overindulging in booze and cigars. Because you're searching for escape. We've got to create better ways to escape, man. So
Wow.
you get me hyped talking about this stuff.
Well, you know what, Brother Willis, this won't be the last time we talk to you. I'm sure you will be back on this podcast at some point.
Oh my
I'm pretty
goodness,
sure we're
it
going to have
is
you back on here
6:30.
again.
What time do we start?
It's
It's
been 45 minutes. We do it, like I said, we do 45
I
minutes. And
am
even when we
so
stop
man. You
recording,
can't
sometimes we're
open this
still
box
going
up to
on and
me,
on.
brother. I will talk you into a
That's
stupor over
all
here.
good. But we appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you taking time out to talk about your background with the running and the yoga and Black Men Run and Vice
Community.
Captain. And like I said, it won't be the last time for sure. Lucire, take it away.
Can I just
like
drop in the chat my link to any guys that may want it? I don't know how this works. Is anybody going to see this?
It's I actually have your link.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have it added to the podcast when we put it out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Um, and find me on Instagram. My homegirl does a whole bunch of free meditations. I'm just looking for guys that look like us to have a little less stress in their lives and a little more fun.
We'll put that link on there too. For all those out there watching, you've just experienced the Brotherhood, and we appreciate you.
Right.
There it
Good to
is.
meet you, Lucire.
Hey, pleased to meet you, man. Hey, I tell you something, man. You're what I call today confirmation for me that because let me tell you, I'm a volunteer lead. I'm head of a race that we have here in Detroit.
Okay.
It's a 5K and it's an 8K. And the executive director of that race is like he said, she's a yogi. She teaches yoga and everything, but she's giving me a free membership that I'm ashamed of myself. Tomorrow, it's interesting because a few days ago I told her this Monday I'm gonna start at the 5:30 a.m. class.
Woo. Get up
So
then, brother.
I'll be there tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. Before I go to work, I have to be at work at 7:30. So I'll be able to get a good hour in with them.
Well,
But
send
man,
me your email address. I'd love to let you know about our classes. I think you would enjoy
absolutely,
our approach. It's basic,
absolutely.
simple stuff, and tailored to fit our needs as over 40 African American men.
And this is really missing in the like Black Men Run, and we have a few guys in Detroit that does, including Castleberry. Castleberry does it, and we have one African American
They do yoga
guy,
together?
and we don't do it together though,
Oh, okay.
but they every now and then it's brought up in our chapter, and we have another African American that's over another company, a run club called Running for Brews, and he also teaches um, yoga, and he's the first African American I ever met besides you, as far as a Black man that teaches yoga. So
Okay.
that's kind of a blessing.
We have two
Well,
members here in the ATL that are,
oh, I know y'all got some black yogis in
yeah,
ATL.
yeah, yeah.
There's no way around that.
Right.
That's what I love about Atlanta. There's no space we don't play.
We're gonna make it. If we ain't got it, we're gonna get it.
Brother, I'm waiting to get back. Trust me. You're gonna see me back on the East Coast in
Come
Atlanta.
through. Come through.
I just wanted my boys to have it to themselves for a little while so they didn't feel like I was cramping their style.
Yeah. All
So
right. Let me stop this.